What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the 13 biggest dating mistakes older guys make. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Mr. G, salute. Now, no matter what age you may be, dating is always going to be a challenging endeavor. And it seems to be even more difficult for my older guys out there. Whether you're newly divorced, newly single, or always had trouble in dating, older guys, I've got some solutions for you if you eliminate some of the mistakes a lot of us older guys make in the dating game. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's video. On today's video, I've got 13 of the biggest dating mistakes you OGs are making and how you can kind of avoid them and be more successful with the ladies. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. First up on the list of dating mistakes for you OGs, not realizing it's a whole new world out there. This is the modern technology age of dating. And one of the things you have to do, Google yourself. You gotta see what type of social media image you're projecting to the world, if any. And if you don't like what you see, do what you need to change that image. On top of that, you better realize you're gonna be doing a lot of text messaging these days. Now, back in my day, you had to be smooth on the telephone. There was a lot of talking. Not so much these days. Women like to text and email. You're just gonna have to get used to that fact. And if you want a quick tutorial on the do's and don'ts of texting, I did a video on that topic a while back. I'll leave a link in the description for your viewing pleasure. But overall, just realize this is a brave new world. Technology has a lot to do with dating. Whether it's dating apps, a lot of texting, or paying attention to your social media image, don't make the mistake of not embracing the new dating world. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, don't make the mistake of thinking everything is new, particularly that chivalry is dead. It's still important to be a gentleman, even these days. I don't care how womanist or feminist you think women are, they haven't changed that much. Open those doors. Be on time. Be a gentleman. Pay for the first few dates. And if you can't afford to pay for a couple of dates when you're an older guy, you got more problems than dating. Come on, step up to the plate. And even though this is some tough love, the main point I'm trying to get across, although we may be in a new world, it still pays to be a gentleman. Be a man. Chivalry isn't dead. The next mistake I see my older guys making in the dating realm is that they don't know which approach or what setting they prefer meeting women. Here's what I mean. There's going to be a lot of dating apps used these days, but I'm not that big a fan of dating apps when it comes to dating. To me, it leads to a more superficial introduction, but that's just me. But nowadays, you just have to know that's going to be a huge part of dating. But you can choose to meet people the old-fashioned way, the way I prefer to, in person. But you need to know which works best for you, what you're more comfortable with. I know a lot of older guys who prefer dating online. That's okay. Or you have the other guys that prefer in-person dating. Try both. Find out which works best for you. It's going to take some trial and error, but it's important for you to learn where you like to meet a potential mate. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see my older guys making, not reevaluating your style and your grooming. Times change and so do styles. And for a lot of my guys, especially if they've been in a long-term relationship, they haven't paid attention much to fashion. What I suggest you do, besides watching the Style O.G channel, make sure you have the basics covered, but pay attention to, but don't follow trends. And don't make the mistake that I made at one time. I had the same facial hairstyle for 20 years. I didn't want to change it up. You get comfortable. But that goatee I was rocking was just outdated. So if you've had the same hairstyle and wear the same clothes you did back in the 90s and the early 2000s, might be time to switch it up. Next up on the list, I've got some more tough love for you. And hey, just remember, somebody that loves you tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And with great love, I tell you, make sure you're watching your weight. One of the things that prematurely ages you and makes you much less attractive to the opposite sex, putting on those extra middle-aged pounds. And I like to look at it from a positive perspective. If all the guys in your age range are putting on weight, you being in shape gives you a leg up. And as you're reevaluating your style and your grooming, No matter what you wear, your clothes will fit better when you're in better shape. Now, I'm not saying you need to be in perfect shape. Just get in the best shape you can. You'll have an advantage over those other guys with the beer belly and middle-aged guts. Now, please, no matter what you do, if you are using dating apps to meet ladies, don't put up that old flattering picture of yourself that's no longer accurate. No matter how tempting it may be to put up that picture when you were 10 pounds lighter, it's just not gonna work. You're gonna have to meet her in person eventually. Don't put up the picture when you had more hair. If you lost something since then, show it. Nothing is worse, whether it's a man or a woman. You get intrigued by the look that you see on dating app, and when you meet them, they look nothing like that. That's called false advertising, my brother. Don't do it. Don't pick the best picture of you from 2008. Pick a good picture from 2020. Now, a common mistake I see in a lot of guys that are older in their dating aspirations, they are too rigid in what they're looking for. Here's the thing. As we get older, men and women, we're gonna have some baggage. We're gonna have had some experiences that have affected us and informed the person we are now. You're gonna be less perfect the older you get. So will she. Now, it's nothing wrong with having standards, but being too rigid, you're probably gonna price yourself out of the market. You're gonna come to the table with baggage. You're not gonna be perfect. Don't expect it, and then maybe she won't expect it out of you. Now, at the opposite end of the spectrum, just because you don't expect perfection doesn't mean you should not know what your deal breakers are. You have to acknowledge them to yourself. If you don't, that's a mistake. Now, just because you want to be accepting and okay with some imperfections with the people you're dating, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have standards. I'll use myself as an example. I'm someone, when I'm dating a woman, I need someone who's a nurturer. I need someone who's beautiful, feminine, inspirational. Shout out to my boy Kevin Samuels. In the past, I made a mistake of dating women who didn't have these qualities. It just wasn't going to work, and eventually we didn't make it. It's not that I expected these women to be perfect. There were just some deal breakers that were important to me that made the relationship not work. And that's what you need to acknowledge. It's invaluable to know what's important to you and what your deal breakers are. Don't make a mistake by accepting anything less. Which leads me to another mistake my older guys are making. Not being honest with the people you're dating about where and who you are in life. A lot of times I find that older guys, when they're dating, can be people pleasers and they don't want to offend, so they won't be honest about what's important to them. And on top of that, they may not be quite honest of where they are in life. When you get to know somebody, eventually tell the truth about your financial situation. Be honest about how many children you have. Be honest about what you want in relationships. I don't care what age you are, tell women the truth. If you're just looking to have a good time, say so. If you want to get married by next week, say that too. But bottom line, as you get to know a woman, be honest about where and who you are in life at this time. However, make sure you're not having these conversations in the first date. When you go on the first date, don't make the mistake of not keeping things light. What I found with a lot of older guys, once they get into the dating game, they want to rush things. That will only scare women away, and it won't give you time to get to know each other. On that first date, keep the conversation light. Enjoy each other's company. If you guys get on further dates, there'll be times to get into deeper conversations. Be honest if asked certain questions, but it's gonna behoove you to keep things light in the beginning. Ease into the deep things, my guy. And one of the major mistakes I often see guys making, my older guys on dates, especially in the beginning, you talk too much. Here's the thing, a lot of times you try to impress the woman. You might read off your resume. You might talk too much about your accomplishments. If you're a successful guy, she'll see that as time goes on. Take it easy in the beginning. Nobody wants to hear someone only talking about themselves. A great rule of thumb, ask twice as many questions as she asks you. As I always like to say, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you talk. And another mistake I highly suggest you avoid, no matter what, unless you're just pressed into a corner, don't talk about your exes. There is no upside to talking about your ex. You broke up for a reason. There's gonna be some negative feelings that no matter how positive you think you're being when describing her, they're gonna come out subconsciously. And the first thing she's gonna think about, is he gonna talk about me to the next girl like he's talking about her? And if you praise your ex too much, she's gonna wonder, is he gonna want her back? Whatever you do, don't talk about your ex. She's in the past for a reason. Leave her there. She doesn't want to hear about it, and there's no upside for you. And last but certainly not least on my list of the 13 biggest dating mistakes my older guys are making, putting too much into one woman too soon. Highly suggest when you're just getting back into the dating game, date a few women in the beginning. And as you get to know them, then narrow it down to the one that you're particularly interested in. This helps prevent you from putting the one person you just met or barely know on a pedestal. This can put you in a submissive, subservient position. That's because getting to know this one person gives you tunnel vision. It makes it too important. As an older guy, you still have your purpose and things you need to accomplish. Focusing too much on one woman that you don't even know can take you off purpose. As an older guy, you should realize by now that life should have balance. If you rush too much into this great woman you don't know, it throws you off kilter. So take my advice. When you're back on the dating scene, date a couple of people at first, and then narrow it down to one person if you find the one that's worth it. Okay, so there you have it. My list of the 13 biggest dating mistakes older guys are making. Now I know it can be challenging dating no matter what the age, but hopefully I've helped out my OGs today. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, hit that like button. Helps the channel to grow. And of course, tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos we release every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And I'll check you out the next time.